Welcome to the Rocky Long Report.
Sometimes you make the plays, sometimes you don't. Just like every football team in the world.
Brought to you by Rapid, a brand new network of transit services. It's faster. Plan your trip at rapidmts.com.
Is that the answer you want? Because that's the answer you're going to get, and that's what's going to happen.
The Rocky Long Report.
I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
On San Diego's sports leader.
That's something special now.
The mighty 1090.
Victorious Saturday night for homecoming. Good crowd on hand for the Sky Show. And San Diego State 35-21 over Idaho. Here's Coach Rocky Long. Hey, Coach.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing really good. Yourself?
I'm doing good.
Coach, I was saying this to Billy Ray earlier. Ezel Ruffin comes back, not with a lot of fanfare, but, man, what a difference it is to have that kid back in your lineup.
I think he's made a huge difference. I think the first week back he was a little rusty and got back in the swing of things. I think he makes everybody better. I mean, they know who he is, so they have to cover him. That opens up some other guys. We had a couple of young guys have pretty good games catching the ball and running with it too, so I think he makes a huge difference.
Rocky, you think Quinn might have had his better game, his best game as an Aztec starter?
I think it's the best game he's had this year. I think he threw the ball accurately, threw it to the right guy most of the time, and we made some plays.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned other guys. So Ruffin has 86 yards for 2 touchdowns, but it's the other kid, Eric Judge, with his first 100-yard receiving game in his career. I suppose perhaps part of that is more playing time because Ruffin's been hurt, or maybe it's Ruffin elevating the guys in the position. You tell us.
I think it's both. I think Ezel being out there opens up some places for the other guys to get open. I think they watch him in practice and probably learn something as they go. And you talk about Eric Judge, he might be the fastest guy on our team, and he beat a guy on an inside move and then outran the safeties, and that was nice to watch.
And then Coach Toledo calls the deep ball, and that's how you get those long strikes.
Well, we threw some down there that the guy probably wasn't open, but you got to back them off a little bit. You know, they're putting 11 guys up there to stop the run against us.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well either. I mean, 26 carries for Pumphrey, especially coming off the game where he'd fumbled the ball, 146 yards. Long of 39. Nice night for Donnell Pumphrey.
Yeah, I thought he made a big comeback. I mean, he had a good night and ran the ball well, but he also protected the football.
Coach, how was the crowd on Saturday night?
Great. It was wonderful. They were there even early. You know, sometimes they come in at halftime because of the Sky Show, but they were there right at the start of the game.
Yeah, and does that make a difference in all seriousness? I mean, I suppose if you're a player, if you all of a sudden have, and I don't know what the total number was, 40, 50,000, whatever it was, I think as a player it makes a difference. What about for you?
I don't think it makes a difference to me, but we all played when I was a player and you played. I mean, obviously it made a difference when there was energy in the stadium.
Yeah, 46,000 plus. Mm-hmm. That's a nice night.
Really good night, and I hope they continue to come.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys keep providing fireworks, maybe not Sky Show fireworks. But actually, this was a weird game because, I mean, at halftime, 14-14, I think a lot of people were like, what is going on out there? What was happening?
Well, I like to give credit to coaches. I thought they did a great job of scouting us, and they did a great job of preparing their players, and their players came to play, and they were physical, they were tough, and their scheme was good, and I hate to admit this, but I think maybe there was a few of our guys thought it was going to be easy, and they had to get it together at halftime.
Coach, when you say that they did a good job scouting you guys, are you saying that, I mean, they were lining up and recognizing your formations and running defenses to shut that down, or what do you mean by that?
Well, first of all, they came in and we didn't know what they were going to do against our offense because they hadn't played against a one tight end, 2-back set all year long. So they lined up and made it hard for us to run early on until we completed some passes, and then they had to back off a little bit, and the running game started going. On defense, they knew where we were coming from. I mean, we do some unusual things. They did a great job of preparing their players, knowing where we were coming from. So they were blocking a lot of things that we were doing. Now, we changed a bunch of them up at halftime, and we did things a little bit differently, and we had a little more success.
All right, Coach Rocky Long from San Diego State. This is it now, last 3 games, and I mean, the only way I look at it is everyone has to be won to ensure that you're definitely going to get to postseason play. It starts off this weekend at Boise State. The game will be televised on ESPNU. Coach, reading a little bit about Boise State today, 4 straight wins, a bunch of comeback wins. Tell us what you know about Boise State.
They remind me of the teams of the past few years that went to what Fiesta Bowls and those kind of things. Their quarterback is playing much better than he did last year. He's completing about 80% of his passes. They're the number one scoring team in our league, the number one total offense team in our league. And last week they didn't play very good defense because they gave up 600 yards and 49 points. But guess what? They scored 60 and gained 600 themselves. So they won the game. So they're explosive. They're fun to watch. I don't like watching them on film, but they're fun to watch if you were a fan.
Big win, though, for these guys from Boise State. Like you said, I mean, scoring 60-plus points against New Mexico, a game that I think on paper you would have assumed that they would have run away with. So at Boise State, must-win situation. You guys have been there before. You guys have won there before. Shouldn't be an intimidating spot for the Aztecs this weekend.
It's not. I mean, the stadium's not intimidating. We've been there a couple times. We were there twice last year, and the bowl game was there, and the year before we were there. But I don't think the stadium has anything to do with it. The blue turf is a non-factor anymore. What's a factor is those guys wearing those blue uniforms on the other team.
Right, but if you get a win there and you're 6-4, then you can start maybe building some momentum for the last two games, home games, against Air Force and against San Jose State, both games that if you beat Boise State will have great meaning for the prospect of postseason play. So I don't know how you look at it, but I mean, for me, it's a must-win situation for San Diego State.
Well, I agree that we have to win all three of them to still have a chance to win the conference championship. I agree with that. I think that if we win 2 out of the 3, there's a good chance we'll be in a bowl game. So we might as well win all 3 of them.
Right. Might as well go out and get that done. Coach, we'll talk to you next Monday. Have a great week.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Coach.
Rock.
Coach Rocky Long stopping by for a few minutes.